Welcome back to the channel. It's Tuesday, which means we do have some news to go over from around the Ontario Hockey League, and there's a full slate of items to choose from. And let's dive right in. We're going to start off with the CHL top 10 rankings, which were dropped this morning. And there's a new look when it comes to the CHL top 10 rankings. Still only two teams from the Ontario Hockey League being represented, but one of them is making their debut. So let's get right down to it. First off, the Halifax Mooseheads, they are number one for the fourth week in a row. Halifax having an amazing season right now in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. They're riding a 10-game winning streak, and it just seems like there's no stopping Halifax at this point. Now, looking at the OHL representatives on the top 10, the Kitchener Rangers, they've climbed 4 spots and sit fourth in the country when it comes to junior hockey. The Rangers, they're the top team right now in the Ontario Hockey League and riding a 7-game winning streak. They also have the third highest point percentage in the country. So the Kitchener Rangers getting it done, as you have to figure the other 19 teams in the OHL have put a target on Kitchener to try and slow them down, as it just doesn't seem like anyone can stop them right now, with Carson Rakoff leading the way in points and goals. And then you got Parsons between the pipes, who he's been having a stellar season too. So Kitchener, the top-ranked team coming from the Ontario Hockey League. And the only other team to make the cut from the OHL, it's the Peterborough Petes. They're the top team right now in the Eastern Conference, and they are riding a 4-game winning streak. They have a record of 7-1-1-1 over their last 10 games, and they're sitting 8th in the Canadian Hockey League for the CHL Top 10. So a big, congrats to the Peterborough Petes. And I don't think anyone saw this coming. A lot of people were expecting them to sell off when they traded Michael Simpson to the London Knights at the start of the regular season. There's still talk about, are they going to sell to recoup picks and just kind of replenish the draft cupboard going forward? There's still a few weeks to go until the OHL trade deadline on January 10th, but right now the Peterborough Petes flying high and enjoying a spot in the CHL top 10. But it is interesting because this is the first time all season that the London Knights did not make the cut for the CHL top 10. So we'll see how long London is kept off the board. But with that lineup in the Knights, they're going on a 3-game road trip this weekend through the Central Division. So it's going to be some tough competition. But maybe we'll see the London Knights back next week, or they'll miss it 2 weeks in a row. Tough to say. Now, there was big news last night. I didn't think I had time last night to make a video, so I'm going to do it now. Jared Smith, he is now the 5th head coach in the Ontario Hockey League to be relieved of his duties. The Windsor Spitfires making the announcement last night, as it's been a rough go for Windsor. They've got a record of 4-16-1. And for Smith, he was just named head coach during the offseason as Mark Savard moved on to the National Hockey League. For Smith, he's been with the Windsor organization since 2011. He's served as a video coach and assistant before getting the head coach role. And with the way this team's been playing, they're on an 8-game losing streak right now, and things just seem to have fallen apart for Windsor. They've given up double-digit goals 4 times this season, and their next 5 are on the road. They got the Petes Thursday night, then Kingston and Ottawa this weekend, before going on the road next weekend to play the Barrie Colts and the Guelph Storm. So it's been a really tough go for the Windsor Spitfires, and they decided to make this move. Still waiting for official word as to who will be taking over behind the bench in Windsor. That news is supposed to come out today. I know they called a press conference for this afternoon. Still waiting for confirmation as to who's going to be behind the bench. But the big thing right now for Windsor, they need to keep the puck out of the net. The goaltending has looked shaky. The defense has been struggling. They're getting pucks on the net. They outshot the Kitchener Rangers the other night despite losing big at the odd. So it just seems like maybe there's a confidence thing that just needs to be addressed with the Windsor Spitfires. And with this coaching change, maybe that can be addressed, because the first team to do the change was Flint, with Ted Dent being let go. The Firebirds, they've turned it around. And then Greg Walters let go, and Owen Sound. Mind you, it seems like they're starting to get things back on track. They went 3-0 last weekend. Luca Caputi was let go in Kingston. The Frontenacs, they've turned things around under Troy Mann. And then Kuwabara was let go with the Niagara Ice Dogs after their slow start. And Boudreau has taken over as head coach there. So we'll see what Windsor does. And do we see another coaching change? Because things right now in Sudbury are looking a little shaky. The Wolves, Wolves fans right now, they're just scratching their heads with the performance right now. They're supposed to be the favorite in the Eastern Conference, but right now they're 1 point up on the Barrie Colts, who sit eighth in the East. They've given up 7 goals in their last 3 games, and they're riding a 5-game losing streak. It has not been pretty in the Nickel City. Um, should they be a team that looks to make a move behind the bench, considering we've had a quarter of the league already change coaches at the quarter mark of the regular season? Ken McKenzie, he's right now the head coach of the Sudbury Wolves. He replaced Derek McKenzie, who moved on during the offseason. And when you look at some of the stats for the Sudbury Wolves, despite the high-flying offense that they're capable of, they have the league worst power play unit at 8.1%. And they're now the fourth most penalized team in the OHL. And that was a problem in previous seasons where they would just get into so many penalty troubles and they just wouldn't be able to get a rhythm going and they would give up power play goals. So it just seems like there's maybe just something needs to click or something needs to be done to just right the ship. I don't know if it needs to be a trade or if they need to make a change on the bench, but something just has to give because the Sudbury Wolves team just not meeting expectations right now, which is really too bad because that Sudbury market, they just are so hungry for a competitive team. They last went to the OHL final in 2007 when they lost to the Plymouth Whalers. And in that season, too, it was a little bit of a disappointing start to their year. They weren't one of the top teams at the end of the playoffs. They got hot in the second half and then in the postseason and rode that wave all the way to the OHL championship. So maybe we're seeing something similar this year. I don't know, but still, the Sudbury market is a market that really deserves a winner, and it's been a long time coming. So we'll see if Ken McKenzie can right the ship or if changes need to be made because the Sudbury Wolves, a lot of expectations with that club. Also, some news this morning. Ryan Humphrey has reportedly left the Niagara Ice Dogs. He has apparently joined the Green Bay Gamblers of the USHL, which is a bit of a surprise. The Niagara Ice Dogs, I know they're the bottom of the Eastern Conference standings, but Humphrey deciding to take his talents elsewhere. So far this year, 2 goals, 2 assists, 17 games for the Niagara Ice Dogs. He was actually traded to Niagara back in September, along with Matthew Paris for Juan Copeland and 2 picks. And what's really interesting about that is if this is true that Humphrey is leaving for Green Bay, that means that Juan Copeland, when he was traded to the London Knights, he ended up leaving that team as well. So the only player out of that trade still playing is Matthew Paris, and he's actually had a really good run with Niagara. Niagara, they need to, that's another fan base that's so strong and solid. They deserve to have some more playoff hockey. It's been a few years as they're trying to turn things around, but it's been a tough go for Niagara of late. And for Humphrey, too, he brought that championship pedigree. He won the championship with the Hamilton Bulldogs in 2022, and then last year with the London Knights, went all the way to the OHL championship against the Peterborough Petes. So Humphrey has that experience, but electing to, he's an overager, and he's now electing to join Green Bay. Also to note from the Niagara Ice Dogs, injuries are becoming an issue. Paris, Wysick, Asadorian, and Crane all out due to injury, and it seems like some of those injuries could be week to week. So things have gone from bad to worse for the Ice Dogs as they try to turn their season around. And I just wanted to end on this note. When I was going through the game notes, I noticed on the OHL website, there's a lot of suspensions right now. And the one that stood out to me was Beckett Sennecke of the Oshawa Generals. It was an ugly loss on Sunday. Oshawa, they were up 5-0 after the first period, and then Peterborough scored 6 unanswered to win that game. But what happened during the game is that Beckett Sennecke got called for spearing. What happened was Sam Maillet was down on the ice. Beckett Sennecke was skating by and gave him a bit of a jab. It wasn't like anything vicious, but it was just enough that he skated by and gave him a poke with the stick. And because of that, he has been handed a 3-game suspension. So Oshawa just getting healthy, but now they lose Sennecke, who's such a skilled forward for the Oshawa Generals, a great talent to watch. But now they'll be without his services for the next 3 games as Oshawa, they're getting ready for a 3-3 this weekend. A home and home against the Ottawa 67s, and they wrap it up against Sudbury on Sunday. So those are the news items from around the Ontario Hockey League. Put your comments down below, your thoughts on any of these news items, be it the top 10, the situation in Windsor and Sudbury. I'd love to see those comments. Remember to hit like and subscribe, and I thank you for all the support so far as this channel continues to grow, and we'll talk to you again soon.